So I've been hearing a lot about these fake Gibson guitars coming out of China that have affectionately been referred to as Chibsons. So an opportunity came up on December 31st for me to purchase a Chibson Les Paul for $294 shipped to my home here in New Jersey. Today's January 8th, 2025, and my Jimmy Page Chibson has arrived. So tonight, I'm going to take this fake guitar and unbox it at my friend Mike Grieco's house. And his credentials are stellar. Mike was previously the road tech for the famous jazz guitar player Al Di Meola. So Mike has an eagle eye and will be able to spot many things about this guitar right off the bat. And I'm really interested to see how this new guitar compares to the actual Gibsons that I own, which you see right behind me. It's very possible that I will wind up putting new pickups and electronics and knobs and things like that in this guitar to upgrade it and make it closer to what an actual Gibson would be. That is for another day. So I hope you enjoy this video and maybe you'll find it informative. All right, so we're here at Mike's house, whom you're going to meet in a few minutes. But before we get to all that, we're going to open this up and get a first look at it and see what it looks like. I will note the first impression that I got when I picked this up was it was pretty light, which Gibson Les Pauls are known for being heavy. So I wonder if there's a strat here. Who knows? But let's start to see what we get. Well, it is definitely light. Let's see what it looks like. See that? It's definitely light. It's been Relic. It's got a fake Jimmy Page signature on the headstock.
Does it smell like lacquer?
It's got a musky-ish smell to it.
Okay.
Clearly out of tune. It's definitely something that looks like it could be turned into a fun guitar to play. And front edges don't feel particularly hard, but they definitely could be taken down, particularly here up high on the neck. Definitely pretty cool. Yeah, my first impression is, listen, for less than $300, you know, we could turn this into something that would be fun to play and definitely look cool if you're playing a gig somewhere. Definitely could be a beater player guitar for you. The neck profile feels not super thin, not chunky at all, definitely on the thinner side. I wouldn't say it's like a tapered neck profile, but supposedly this is supposed to be a copy of the 59, so they were a little, or at least they were known to be a little wider. I've never had an actual 59 in my hands. And we're gonna give it over to Mike at the bench and see you soon. So we're here in Mike's workshop. So Mike, say hello to the fans at home.
Hello, fans.
And give me your thoughts.
Okay, first thoughts, it looks cool, but are you going to fool anybody to think that this is the real deal? Absolutely not. For sure, this is not a lacquer finish. This is some kind of distressed...
It's supposed to be nitrocellulose.
It doesn't... It has zero smell, and just kind of by the feel of it not being tacky or sticky or leaving fingerprints very easily, you can kind of tell it's probably some kind of fast drying, high production, you know, real turnaround type stuff. But the checking looks cool. You know, from a distance, it definitely looks cool. It's super light. You already got some assistance going in the flaking. You know, if I start yanking on that, we'll get some more going, which is kind of cool. The angle kind of looks different. I don't know how that looks on camera here, but it's a little bit shallower than what I would say is traditional. I want to say off the top of my head, I think Les Paul's somewhere around 12 degrees. I remember I haven't owned one since '96, so obviously this fretboard material is some kind of Eastern, like that Acacio you see at all the furniture stores now, that type of hardwood that you see everywhere. So it's definitely not a rosewood, it's some type of stained Acacio. I believe that's what they call it. The inlays are installed very well. They're pretty convincing. There's not a lot of glue or epoxy around them to kind of make up for the bad routing. Binding, it's just simple ABS. I wouldn't call it that celluloid stuff. But it's got a real bone nut, it appears. Tuners look cool. We didn't really play too much with this, but
it feels pretty comfortable.
Yeah, the
I will say it feels.
Neck is symmetrical. You know, it's a nice fat C. So this is it's got some nice weight to it. It's a solid piece. You know, I know a lot of people go for the aluminum stuff nowadays due to weight, but that feels solid. It reminds me of what every Les Paul I've ever worked on feels like. That might be a little upgrade. Let's see what's going on in here. There's definitely no wax spotting in those bad boys. You know, I'm noticing the mahogany. But this also looks like mahogany, which is just as thick. So I'm trying to see if this is a veneered top, where the veneer is, unless it's just really paper thin, which it very well could be, because from this angle, you can see these two different grain orientations. So it could be two different types of mahogany. But this is, this cap appears to be quite thick. You know,
it's supposed to be a solid maple cap.
It's more than a ½ inch. And for our friends everywhere else in the world, that looks like 14 mil.
Wow. That's a pretty thick cap.
Well, yeah, in the center, and then, you know, you start to taper off. But this doesn't look like maple to me over here. Or we could take the bridge off and see if we can get a different view. But I mean, it's certainly mahogany. That's for sure. And if, you know, folks online are going to judge me on my Gibson knowledge, I don't have much to begin with, so I'm just letting everyone know.
You're not a historian.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it from a build standpoint and a value standpoint and what you can do standpoint, and that grain orientation or the way this grain looks to me appears to be mahogany. So you can see the grain this way, and then you can see this. It's very similar. I mean, this could be a paper thin veneer for all, you know. It could be, you know, like a little skosh that thick, which I could see them doing at this price point. I mean,
yeah, like
maple's
right
not
right there, right?
Maple's not a cheap wood, and something easily to find in that part of the world, you know. Fretwork looks good. It's not pitted. Might do a little just touch up.
What about the headstock and the tuners?
The tuners, they feel a little
cheap.
Stiff. Yeah. As far as turning this into a player, you can definitely do that. Very easy. The geometry's there. I mean, you know, the angle in which the neck was glued to the body was correct. And, you know, for it to be mismatched and off a few degrees, you could expect that at this price point, but it was pretty spot on. So, yeah.
Now's a good time to take a break to refill our wine glass.
All right, so we're just going to see what kind of electronics we're dealing with here. Looks like a decent switch. I really wouldn't bother upgrading that.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, let's check out what's in here. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, the minis. The mini guys. Yeah, those pots got to go. You definitely upgrade. You might have to widen the holes, but what else do you want? I mean, you could get silly, and we could put in some conductive shielding paint.
What about the little nylon treble rhythm little under there?
Yeah, that looks rather thin to me. Let's take it off for a second and see something. Maybe this is part of the guitar because it doesn't want to come off. Let's see. I don't think that wants to come off, man.
But you know what? If it doesn't want to come off, then good, leave it.
Leave it. I think first order of business.
New pickups.
We decide what
new pickups, new bridge, new tuners.
Yeah. What else? That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, I've seen American guitars with a lot worse fretwork. It's not a bad job whatsoever, and that's the thing people spend the most time on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not bad. You know, you just kind of maybe we hit it, just kind of tuck it back a little bit and polish them up, and you're in business. But you know, that's the one complaint that everyone has with you know, import guitars is the fretwork and
the neck.
We didn't see if they were all level, but
yeah, let's take a look.
I'm going to see how straight this neck is. We might have to take some tension off. It's 4 mil. Oh, there was 0 tension on that bad boy.
No tension.
Now I'm going this way, so it's dual action. It's looking a lot better. A little bit here. No big deal. I mean, what did this thing travel? 7,000 miles. It's like something's going to happen. And we'll go through, we'll mark them all and get everything nice and clean, but it's really no big deal. It's no big deal, man. I think we could turn this into a beast.
So you think it's a real bone nut?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely.
That was some of the criticisms I've seen.
It's definitely not
plastic.
Plastic. No. Once we start cutting it, the way to know right away is the smell.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're sitting in the dentist chair and you know, you get a whiff of your
burning teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that looks real. I mean, we could mess with the slots.
The Gibson logo, it's nowhere near like the actual Gibsons.
Yeah.
They're clearly inlaid, and you know this is definitely not.
I mean,
what do you think the pickups?
Just cheap material, cheap wire, cheap bobbins. But they certainly weren't wax potted. So one thing you could do is you could go to like the dollar store, get a whole bunch of the little paraffin wax candles, melt that in a pot that your wife don't care about, and then leave them in there. And you know, as the bubbles release, just leave them in there for as long as it takes for not to see any more bubbles, because that means it's kind of working its way all throughout its innards. And then you know, get rid of microphonics. But yeah, I mean, we could go about it 2 ways. We could spend $1 at the dollar store, or we could replace it. You know, I just see the issue is they're really not potted. Just when I removed that and when you plugged in it for 2 seconds and you heard the feedback. But that's all easy fixes. There's no really major surgery that needs to be done here. Like I said, the geometry looked good at the attachment point of the neck and body. If that's good, everything else should fall into place, you know?